Want to be a topper in MBA entrance exams? Join BYJU'S Exam Prep, CAT and MBA YouTube channel and watch serial 99 percentilers teaching you the tips and tricks.
Good afternoon, all of you. Hello, Dharmi. Good afternoon. How are you? All right, waiting for the others to join. Good noon, Tanvi. Good noon. Right. So, today we are going to talk extensively about reading comprehension passages. We are not going to practice RC passages as such, but we are going to talk about how to read them, how to comprehend them, how to solve them. So, we are going to cover all these things step by step, slide by slide. Okay, this is relevant for all the management entrance exams, even those management, even those exams that are not management entrance exams, but that ask RC passages. So this is such a relevant session for all of you who are preparing for any management entrance exam, any entrance exam in general. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hi Vijay. Hello Yash. Good noon Harsh. Mamta. Good afternoon Shaina. Hi Maitri. Hello Tulshi. Good noon Abhilasha. I'm good Vijay. I hope the same for you. Hello Pranita. Okay, so how I've divided this session is, so first we'll talk about reading and comprehending, right? And in the next part, we are going to focus on solving. Basically, what all things you should focus on when you solve RC passages. Because I feel that both the preparation and the strategy, they are important for you when you want to ace reading comprehension. So just preparation won't make a difference if you don't have a strategy. Just strategy won't make a difference if you don't prepare, right? So it's a combination of the two. Hi Surbi, hello Tushar. Good afternoon Bhargavi, Roosters. Right. So let's have a look at our very first slide here, which talks about reading and comprehending. Okay. So um, there must be a lot of questions surrounding this. Yes, what should we read? From where should we read? How should we read? Right? How to understand? I face problem in understanding RC passages. Some of them are just so difficult, right? And a lot of such problems. So let's address all of these today. Okay. So first things first. See, as I've told you in multiple sessions, language is one such thing that you learn by doing. So if you just attend this session and then you don't go back and read, then I don't think it will be of much use to you. Okay, you have to implement, you have to start reading. Okay, that's the first thing that you have to do. Read a lot, because RC passages are asked in every management entrance out there. There is, I think, hardly any. So, SNAP, for instance, in 1 or 2 years hasn't asked RC passages. Otherwise, most of your, apart from it, all your entrance exams, they are asking RC passages. So, this becomes very important that you read abundantly, you read a lot, right? I understand that you have other commitments, but you have to make a habit out of this. You have to dedicatedly take out some time for it, right? So don't think that today if I get time I will read, or over the weekend I'll read a lot but during the weekdays I'll not. That sort of an approach does not work. It should be just like eating, right? You eat every day, right? And you eat in the right amount, otherwise you feel hungry. Same should be the case with reading, right? So, my advice to you here is that you can try this. I do this and it works for me. Start your day with reading and finish it with reading. Right. So, I usually start my day with reading something. Okay, blue does not work here clearly. Let me just uh, use the red marker only. Yes. So, I start my day with reading. Okay. And during the morning, I would prefer something that is more spiritual, more philosophical. I would not go straight away to, let's say, something that's highly political. That's my personal preference. Okay, so something that's more abstract, more philosophical, that works for me right in the morning. And I end my day with reading. Okay, so how do I do that? Even if, let's say, let's say I have some other commitments. Usually my morning commitment, I stay very true to it, I stick to it. Even if I don't have a lot of time at night, I would read even if just for 15 minutes every day. Okay. And what do I do there? What do I read there? I would again prefer something that is not very easy. So, for instance, I would not, let's say, pick up the Times of India or the Hindustan Times and start reading that. Okay, now this one could be something related to sociology, something related to anthropology, psychology, economics. These subjects interest me, right? So, history also recently I have developed an interest in it, so I pick up something related to these things, right? So I think I told some of you, currently I'm reading this book, Homo Deus. It's a sequel of Sapiens, right? So I like this book Sapiens. It's by this Israeli historian Yuval Noah Harari, and I am following it up with the sequel, right? So build such routines. Okay, I'm just giving myself as an example. You don't have to copy paste what I'm doing. Build a routine, build a habit. In the absence of that, no, you will think that you will read today, you will think that okay, I'll read over the weekend, but it does not happen. Okay, a very important lesson that I've learned is time has memory. Time and even space for that matter, they have memory. If you build a specific time for yourself that okay, at 7:30 a.m. every day I will open a book, I will open a magazine article of my topic of interest. If you do that, then you know, do it for a week. Then let's say on the next Monday, if you start on Monday, you'll automatically feel this urge at 7:30 a.m. to do that, because time has that memory. In fact, wherever you sit to read, even that space has memory. That space will remind you of this, that you have to read. Okay, so the reason I'm stressing so much on it is that this is the most difficult step that students find. They just don't start. They don't start reading. Okay, or if they start, uh, what happens is they're not able to stay consistent. Why? Because they feel that they are not able to grasp stuff, understand stuff. So sometimes they lose their motivation. So we will address this also in the comprehending section when I'll talk to you about how to stay consistent even in the face of adversity when you're not able to grasp something, right? Okay. And very importantly, read the right things. Okay, I'll not appreciate it if, let's say, you are reading the page 3 of the supplement of the newspaper. That's not relevant. I don't want you to read celebrity news or what celebrities are doing. Similarly, I don't want you to read, let's say, city news. That's not very relevant. So who murdered whom, who robbed whom, that's not relevant for us from our entrance exam perspective, right? So read the right things, things that give you the correct grammar, things that have a good level of vocabulary. Okay, things that are on relevant topics. So, for instance, I gave the example of city news, right? Not required. So, relevant topics. So, what form the relevant topics? I think now you have you've been preparing for some time now. Yes, all of you, whether you're preparing for CAT or some other management entrance exam. So, can you tell me what are the right things to read? What genres should I prefer? What exactly should I be reading? Yes. Welcome, welcome, Kashish. Right. So, what should you read? Which genre should you read? Come on, I want your response also. Otherwise, this will become a very one-way street. Eon essays. Okay, good Unnati. So that means Unnati has been preparing. Unnati has opened Eon. Unnati has read some articles. Yes, the editorial page. The editorial page of not just your national newspapers, but I would really appreciate if you go and read whatever limited free articles are available to you from the Guardian and the NYD. Okay, I would really appreciate it, because again, I am talking strictly on the basis of the data. I analyzed your previous year CAT and XAT papers, and what I found was that for the in the last 20 years, whenever articles have been made the source of your RC passages, they have come from editorials, and that too editorials of international newspapers such as the Guardian and the NY. Okay, so become very important. Okay, so much, in fact, so much happening on the international front, right? Of course, so much happening at the national front also, but we saw some very incisive analytical pieces on the US ban on abortion, then later on when Boris Johnson resigned. Okay, and currently, what is happening? Who will tell me? Yes, so Shinzo Abe was assassinated. We had some good opinion pieces on that, right? So a lot is happening in the world around us, and when we read international newspapers, it gives us a peek into the world. Plus, it gives us a view of various international authors. Okay, it acquaints us with their style of writing, which is very important because that's the style of writing that you will encounter in the exam, right? Okay. Financial news, yes, financial news helps because you are preparing for a master's in business administration ultimately. So, yes, the business page becomes very important when it comes to the newspapers. Okay, the business page. All right. Okay, what else? Okay, so let's see. The Hindu, okay, fine. All right, philosophy, yes. Philosophy becomes very important, in your CAT. I think I have shown you your previous year RC passages topics also. In one of the sessions, we did that. And we found that in slot one, two of the passages were philosophical in nature, right? And this is CAT. I'm not even talking about that, where you do expect philosophical passages, where you do get philosophical passages. So yes, philosophical articles you can start with in case you dislike philosophy. It's okay, right? I understand that it's not everyone's cup of tea. Just read some articles on it. Okay. More sectionals versus Eon essays both take almost similar time. Uh, Eon essays are lengthy. I have always told you that, right? Sometimes they can stretch up to 2,500, 3,000 words. So you can always divide that. So, for instance, in the morning, let's say I read the first 1,500 words, and at night I read the remaining 1,500 words. Just before taking this session, I was also reading an article. Okay, so this is a longish article. This is from the LA Review of Books. Okay, this is a website, and I haven't finished it yet. Okay, so I just chose to read the first 1,000 words before the session, and I'll read it perhaps. I'll continue it after the session, or I'll continue it at night. So you can always divide an article like that. Okay, yes, novels, very good source. So, some of you must be thinking that novels, they don't really come in the in the RC passages. They don't give a story. So why should we read them? First, because they will acquaint you with some very good vocabulary words. Second, they are very good in case you want to develop a habit of reading. So, for instance, if you are someone who does not like to read and you straight away start with something that's non-fiction in nature, you might get bored midway. Okay, so start with something that's gripping, that's a story where you're eager to know what's going to happen next. So, novels are a great way actually to build that habit of reading and, in fact, to speed read because you always want to know what's going to happen next. Okay, who is the killer, who is the murderer, right? We want to know that. So novels are a great way to do that. Yes, Paulo Coelho, he weaves philosophy with fiction, so obviously yes, you can read Paulo Coelho. Where can I get? On Eon's website, Tushar, eon.co. Eon.co. These are fortunately these are free of charge. Okay, so they've not started charging mandatorily yet. Okay. For CET particularly, see, there is no one dedicated source that will give you just CET like passages. So, Nemi, what you can do is whatever memory based papers are available, right? You can practice those. Then various non-CAT papers. So, for instance, SNAP, NMAT. I think NMAT you won't get, but SNAP, some of the memory based previous year papers of SNAP. Okay. Then apart from this, some of the early CAT papers, let's say we are talking about 2000 and 2000, 2001, 2002, okay, and earlier. Some of the early CAT papers will be of that level, okay. Some of the early IIFT passages will be of that level. So you can pick up from various non-CAT and CAT early papers. That can be done for CET. Okay, there's no dedicated one source. Yes, Aditya, whatever you read in the newspaper, it's definitely going to help you in your CET exam, in your various exams, in fact. Okay, because it is topical in nature. So you are getting acquainted with one topic. It is going to belong to a certain genre. So you're becoming better at that genre. You're getting exposed to good vocabulary. All your non-CAT exams ask vocabulary questions also. So it's going to help you, right? I will do that, Abhilasha, towards the end of the session. I'll list some novels, right? Okay. So I hope you've understood that you don't just have to read anything. Okay. If you start reading Scoop Whoop articles and let's say BuzzFeed articles and tell me that you're reading, then that does not count. Okay. If you read about celebrities, that does not count. I want you to read something that's more standard in nature, that's good grammar, good vocabulary, and is relevant for you. Okay. So newspapers, magazines like Eon, let me just give you a very detailed list. Okay, you have already mentioned Eon. We have already talked about the Guardian, the NYT. What else? What else? Because these are limited sources, right? So, Forbes magazine, again, whatever is available for free. The Economist, whatever is available for free. There is an e-magazine called Smithsonian Mag that has formed the source of some of your passages in the past. So whatever I'm listing here is based on an analysis of your previous year papers. Okay, these are sources from which your RC passages have been framed. Right? Smithsonian Mag is there. The Atlantic. Okay, BBC. So there are a number of sources. The Scientific American, in CET particularly, there was an article, there was an RC passage that was framed from an article from the Scientific American, right? And of course, non-fiction excerpts. They have non-fiction excerpts have appeared as RC passages in your exam. So I think I've given you 8, 9 sources, and this should give you plenty of choice in terms of reading every day, right? And apart from this, again, if you need some more sources, if you think, okay, I've been following this, I want something more, you can tell me. Towards the end, again, I can give you more sources. So read from the right sources, very, very important. Okay. This is the preparation stage that we are at right now. Okay. We'll come to solving also. Then, fine, you read. Okay. But a lot of students, those who say some of them don't even try to build the habit of reading. Then those who try sometimes get demoralized, demotivated because they feel that the subject matter is so difficult. Okay. I am just not able to grasp it. There are so many terms that I just don't know. Okay. So what to do? I think this will help you, Sanil. What I'm telling you, this will help you even for tackling RCs of unfamiliar subjects, right? When you encounter something that's new, of course, it is going to have terms that you are unfamiliar with. It is going to have unfamiliar terms. So, at the preparation stage, how you can address it is, let's say you realized that, okay, the terms used were very new for me. Probably I am not used to reading this genre. Then you've identified the problem, right? So, let's say I give this example, right? I gave this earlier as well, that let's say you came across words like cisgender, heteronormative, okay, then androgynous, let's say, androcentric, and you felt, oh, I don't know the meanings of these words. They seem to be really new for me. That's probably because you haven't read much on gender and sexuality, right? If let's say you are reading the business page and you come across terms like EBITDA, you come across acronyms like ROSE, right? And they again appear very unfamiliar to you. Again, why is that? Because you aren't familiar with the genre. So you have identified the problem right there. A lot of your VARC preparation is about narrowing down the problems and taking action on those. So you read some articles of that genre then. Once you've identified that, okay, this comes in the exam, I don't seem to be very comfortable with it. So let me read some articles on it. When you practice your previous year papers, you get the sense of which genres you are comfortable with, which genres you aren't. So do this. Okay. Now, this question that basically then what will happen? First, let me tell you what will be the outcome of this. Let's say you read 10, 15 articles on this. It is not like you will become a master at this subject. Just if that is what 10, 15 articles could do, people would not go for PhDs. Even those who go for PhDs are specialists only in a particular topic, right? Not the entire field. So However, it will provide you with confidence. Some of the terms will become familiar. That is definitely going to happen. Some words will become familiar. So you will be able to navigate through them easily. The ones that aren't familiar to you, you will learn how to contextually derive their meaning. Okay, you will try your best after reading 15-20 such articles. You will now try your best to derive their meanings contextually. If you're able to do them, then you will again proceed, right? Happy that you've understood it. If not, then again also you will learn that you have to focus on the main points only. Probably this term that you've not understood is not even the main point, and that happens when you practice your previous year papers. You will realize what I'm talking about. Okay, so there are some of the words that have appeared as part of RC passages in your CAT exam that a lot of students weren't familiar with. For instance, the Enlightenment rationalism. This came in one of the passages about British colonialism, right? Some students did not know what Enlightenment rationalism was, but rationalism, something that has to do with a rational mindset. They just inferred that much and they proceeded. So that's how you tackle RC passages that are unfamiliar. At the preparation stage, you become familiar. Okay, that gives you confidence, and in the exam, during the exam, you try to infer as much as you can do contextually, and whatever you're able to do, great. Whatever you're not able to do, you just proceed. You don't get stuck there, right? So this is what you have to check when you start reading. You don't just have to be a passive reader reading without comprehending. You also have to check how much you understand the text. Okay, how well you understand what you've read. Okay, are you able to grasp the main ideas? Are you able to grasp them? Okay, this is what the author is trying to opine, trying to convey to you, trying to argue. So are you able to do that? And a very good way, actually, why I chose this diagram here, a very good way to do this is to build a mind map. Every article, if you pick up any article, it's just a collection of points, collection of the main ideas that the author wants to convey to you. That's the reason all of us write articles. Yes. So just remember those key ideas when you read. Okay, retain them in your mind, build a map for them. Okay, so this is the first idea. Then the second idea just elaborates this first idea. Now the third idea presents a counterpoint to this. Oh, okay, there's a counterpoint also. So the author is analyzing different things, right? The fourth idea then elaborates on the third idea. So that way build a mind map. And it's easy to do. It's just that sometimes we are so stuck in the details that we don't pay attention to these ideas, which is what we do not have to do. Okay, you have to always look at the bigger picture. The skeleton of the passage should be clear to you. Okay, the passage, the article has a skeleton. वो समझ में आना चाहिए. Okay, because if you are just lost in the eyes, if you're just lost in the, let's say, spinal cord, that's not going to help you. You would have just understood one point, one paragraph, but not the main point of the entire thing. Okay, all right. So I think there are a lot of questions here. I need to address them. So Sujit, whatever tips I'm giving you today, they work for beginners also. They work for somebody who has just started their preparation, and they will help as corrective steps for somebody who has started but is facing some problems. For instance, a comprehension issue. So we see, our school boards, they prepare us in such a way that we focus a lot on the details, each and every sentence, each and every word. We try to cram everything, but that's not something that works when you talk about your reading of RC passages. You don't have to understand each and every word. You just have to focus on understanding that broad picture that the writer is presenting to you. Okay. Then ROCE is return on capital employed. It's a business and economics term. Find out more about it, Tulshi. Okay. Acha, any light pen. All right. China, noted. Okay. Ascetic. What does ascetic mean, Alpha? Are you using the word correctly? More difficult to understand than what? Okay. So, Pavan, that's a very common problem. I just talked about it earlier also. See, I might not understand each and every word that has been written in the newspaper. In fact, sometimes the writer can be so inventive that he or she might end up creating a word of their own, okay, called a neologism, when a new word is created by the writer. Okay. For instance, the word you catastrophe, just giving it to you as an example. All of us are aware of catastrophe, right? What a catastrophe is. But somebody added you before it, which means good, and made a term you catastrophe. Find out who added it. Somebody very popular. So, a U catastrophe, basically a storyline wherein things, become increasingly difficult. The protagonist face increasing difficulties, but things get resolved by the end. That is, such a situation is called a U catastrophe. It was actually a catastrophe that in the end was resolved, proved to be good for them in a way. So, my point is that even if you do not understand that word, don't be stubborn that I will not proceed unless and until I understand the exact meaning of that word. Even if you're able to roughly guess, okay, this is what it might mean based on the other words in the sentence, that is enough. Okay, as I said, certain terms are very niche terms. I gave you the example of enlightenment rationalism, didn't I? So, enlightenment rationalism, what is it? Okay, actually, enlightenment was a whole movement that happened in the West, and rationalism was a philosophy that was followed there. So, you might not know this in the exam, but the question is, do we need to? We might not need to also. Okay, all right. So, an ascetic is a person who has basically renounced worldly pleasures, a sadhu sant. That person is an ascetic, okay, lives a life of moderation. So, I don't think alpha, the term fits here, okay, all right. So, right. Thank you for the suggestion. The yellow looks better. So, how much you understand the text, that's very important to check. In case the comprehension is low, then you know how to address this problem. You have to read more articles from that genre. That will build your confidence. Okay, whatever, and in fact, yes, initially, whatever terms are not clear to you, please find them out. For instance, I suggested that please find out more about Rose. So, if it is not clear to you, please Google, please find out. That's how you build comprehension. Okay. And yes, after reading a newspaper editorial article, see how much you remember out of it. So just close that article and see how many points you remember. Although this retention now is not an issue in your management entrance exams because they are usually 550 to 600 words. Okay. So usually students are able to retain almost all the points when they read just these many words. So it's not much of an issue now. However, this will work for those students whose retention is really low, who feel that okay, concentration is an issue for us, so we don't remember a lot of stuff. If that is a challenge that you face, that you don't remember because you didn't concentrate, then if you remind yourself that after reading this article I have to tell myself all the major points of this article, you will read with more concentration. Okay, so you will gradually build your retention when you recall the main points after reading every article, right? And of course, it helps you in RC passage. It helps you in attempting questions because, see, if I remember that whatever is being asked in the question, I read it in para 2 of the passage, I can very easily go back to para 2. If I don't even remember where I read it, I'll keep on searching throughout the passage and that will waste a lot of time. So it saves you a lot of time when attempting your question, right? Okay. Then coming to any source for knowing the most commonly used Greek or Latin words or any language phrase in the RC. Okay, so first of all, last year I took some sessions on genre-based vocabulary. Okay, so they are still there over YouTube. You will find them. So they go like this: must know words for politics RC passages. Okay, so that's the title, must know words for. So just open the channel BYJU'S Exam Prep MBA. There must be a playlist with my name on it and you will find these must know words. There were 5 to 6 sessions that I took on this. Okay, so that will help for genre based vocabulary. For Greek and Latin, there's no one particular source as such, but I remember seeing a PDF a while back on the internet. Just type Greek mythology vocabulary. Okay, Greek mythology vocabulary, and a PDF will appear with some major words on it. Right? So I hope this helps. Now, so this is what we've discussed so far. The story that we've built so far is that, see, again, I am just helping you to retain whatever we've done. First is that you have to build a reading routine. You have to be consistent with it. Okay. You have to read the right things, not just, as I said, your scoop whoop BuzzFeed articles. They don't count. You have to read from the right sources. And yes, initially it will be difficult, no doubt there, because there are certain things that you're comfortable with, certain things that you're not to. Your management entrance exams are all about going out of your comfort zone. So whenever you face a difficulty, Google. Okay, we are so blessed that we've been born in the age of internet. Okay, whenever you don't understand a term, have that inquiring spirit that you Google. This is something that you do at the initial stage when you Google. Okay, in the exam, of course, we can't do it. This is to help build familiarity. Okay, once we build that confidence and familiarity, okay, we also have to focus on the fact that we are able to retain stuff. Whatever we read, we are able to remember the main points out of it. Okay, so now let's read this. This is an example paragraph. This is from the article that I was just reading before taking this session. Okay, so let's read from this, and after reading this, I'll ask you what you understood, how much you remember. Okay, yes, let's begin. Just this one paragraph. Let me know once you've finished. Then we'll discuss it. Interesting paragraph from an interesting article. Done reading? Good, good. So I didn't want to read with you. I didn't want to explain this to you because see, we have to get used to reading ourselves. Okay, in the exam, I won't be there with you to actually explain things to you, to stress on different words. So this has to become a habit for you that you read yourself, you grasp whatever you can, right? So if you ask me, if let's say I want to hide this for a minute. Yes. So post-colonial. Now see, break this word, Bhushan. Break this for you yourself. Let's say you do not know the meaning of post-colonial. Post means after. Colonialism. I mentioned British colonialism when we were discussing Enlightenment rationalism, if you remember. So what is colonialism? Colonialism is simply the way Britishers created colonies. In fact, a number of developed countries did that, not just Britishers. Okay, we have French colonies, we have Portuguese colonies. So colonialism is a practice of creating colonies in a foreign countries and then dominating them. Okay, that is colonialism, right? So post-colonial, a post-colonial world is a world that does not have colonies after the colonies. That's the idea, right? So when I don't know the meaning of a word, again I try to decipher the meaning in this way. A lot of times it works, right? Okay, so now that you've read it, what is this paragraph about? What is the paragraph talking about? Give me a relatively more specific answer. Don't just say English language. वो मुझे भी पता है. Just tell me what exactly is it trying to tell you? Yes, I'll use this screen to write. I wanted to hide that one. Yes, tell me. What was this paragraph about? I understand there were a few sentences that were relatively more complex. There were a few that were easy. For instance, people shaming celebrities on Twitter. That was an easy sentence. Okay, memes and jokes being made on Indian English. Easy sentence. So it was a mix of easy and difficult sentences. But what was it trying to convey? Language as an object. Okay, this is partially correct. Partially correct. Which language? The English language. So the English language as an object, and use proper grammar. Is that what it was about? Use proper grammar? No. That was one of the points that were mentioned, Aditya, that we are obsessed about correcting others' grammar. Why this obsession? All about English. I understand all about English, but what in English? What exactly? All about English could mean that I'm talking about, let's say, the history of English. I'm not talking about the history of the language. English has become a status symbol rather than a language. How Indians use language, how we're obsessed about it. So, yes, close. So, basically, the very first sentence gave us an idea that what is going to come next. That the author wanted to convey that in India, English is used, English is considered an object also, and an idea also. And an idea also. So we don't just merely look at it as a language. We look at it as a tool. We are trying to achieve certain things through it. Okay, class and caste authority, for example. Class and caste authority. So it's both an object and an idea. We are why are we obsessed with correcting people's English? Okay, why are there so many memes on Indian English? Because through English we're either trying to claim class and caste authority or trying to reject it. Okay, so English in India is much more than just a language, much more than just a language. Okay. So the main idea of that paragraph is that in India, the English language is more than just a language. In fact, somehow toggles between, as the author uses the word, it alternates between being an object and an idea to shun or to project class and caste authority. Right? This is what this paragraph says. Okay, of course, other words were also mentioned. It's not just caste and class, gender, ethnic, etc. Those were also mentioned. I just took up some of them. Right. Now, of course, you may not have understood all the sentences out here, but see, you got the gist. You got the gist, most of you. Okay, that we as Indians seem to think of English as something more than just a language, right? So, fine, scholars think that it derives its meaning from its colonial formation. The fact that it is a colonial language, it derives its meaning for there. But, see, but is important because this indicates that the author is now going to contradict it and probably present his or her opinion. But it is a futuristic language. It is a futuristic language. It has always looked ahead to the future. It is a product of a lot of types of politics, class, caste, gender, ethnicity. Okay. See, this sentence was a little complicated but very profound. English has found roots in India as a language that erases itself in the hope of what it could be. Okay, so we try to erase it. It basically English every day erases itself in the hope of what it could be. English is always trying to be something more than it is in India, right? It is erasing itself constantly to become what it could represent, all of the things that it can symbolize. For instance, a marker of class caste authority, as a rejection of class caste authority, right? These are examples now that look at this one from here till here. These are examples. Okay. So the last sentence here was very important, that we are concerned with English not just as a language but as this. The first sentence also was important because it gave away the main idea, right? And these factors that English is more than just a language. It has been a product of, and it impacts class, caste, gender, and ethnic politics. Right? Hope this is clear. It was not just about grammar. No, not at all. Not at all. Okay. Not, it was also not about the wrong usage of language. Okay, so it was about the that how people in India view English. That is what, if you have to give a title, if you have to just sum it up in a few words, how people in India or how Indians view English. Okay, what English represents for Indians. That is what this is about. I hope this is clear to everybody. Okay, that it's important that when we read, we focus on the key ideas, the important ideas. Okay, it is okay if we don't understand each and every sentence. Okay, if we get the gist, that's fine. We need to learn to differentiate between examples and ideas, however. Okay, these are just examples. So if you have taken this out of this paragraph, that this is the point of this paragraph, no. It's, the paragraph is not about correcting celebrities English, using proper grammar, or about memes and jokes. That's not what this paragraph is about, right? And yes, so you did retain multiple points after reading it, what I heard from a lot of your messages. Retention was not a problem, but yes, comprehension is something that we need to work on. We need to basically understand that if I sit to write today, what is my why? Every author who sits to write has a why. You have to understand that why, and not the myriad points that the author mentions. The author will talk about 100 things, but the point behind writing could be just summed up in ten things only. So you have to focus on those 10 things, right? Okay. So this is about comprehension. It's a skill that you build over time. It's not something that happens in a day. Okay. Initially, comprehension is a challenge. So during my college years, I very clearly remember I was not someone who read the business and economics page of the newspaper, right? And when I started reading it for the first time, it threw so many unfamiliar terms. So one day I remember I sat with the Economic Times for 4 or 5 hours, and I got so frustrated that I just didn't know so many terms. I kept Googling. So then, of course, but what I then started doing was that I started focusing on 1 to 2 articles every day. Okay, so I decided that every day I'll focus on, let's say, 2 articles, and I will find out all the words that I don't understand there. So I kept up at this for 2 to 3 months, and after a while, things became easier. It's not that I became a master, I understood each and every word, that didn't happen, but things became easier. In fact, because it was current affairs, so I now had a knowledge of the development of a story. Let's say there is a story that has been going on for 2 to 3 months. Because I had been following it, it became easier for me to understand it also. So initially things are difficult. Initially concentration is a problem. Initially comprehension is a problem. But when you persist, when you sail through it, when you think of it as something that you just have to do, okay, then things become easier gradually. Okay, and for the technique, again, we've had there are a number of sessions of ours available on the YouTube. Then during our dedicated paid sessions also, we talk to you about what all to focus on in an RC passage, so that helps you with the technique, right? Okay, now one thing is that students are very obsessed about speed. So initially in the first few sessions, students always tell me that, I am a very slow reader. So first of all, don't make such statements before measuring your reading speed. See, first of all, measure it one day. Just sit with something, sit with a newspaper article and see how many words you read in 1 minute. Okay, or just read the whole article, count the number of words, and see how much time you took to read it. Right, that's a better approach. So you yourself will realize that most of you, I think there would be hardly any of you, unless of course you picked up something very difficult, who would not have a reading speed of 200 words per minute. And 200 to 250 is what we require for most of your exams, except let's say an IIFT, which has quite lengthy passages. Okay, even now they have started shortening their passages. This is something that we have, and I told you earlier, 550 to 600 at the most, right? So you will be able to read it in a little over 2 minutes, okay, with this speed. That's fine. So unless you are excruciatingly slow in reading, your reading speed is fine. Don't be so obsessed about speed. Okay, rather be obsessed about comprehension. Right? Okay. All right. So this was about reading. Okay. We discussed what to read, how to read, what are the sources from where you should read. Uh, the fact that we should focus not just on reading but also on comprehension and retention, right? How initially it's difficult for everybody, okay? How you can comprehend something better, and how reading speed is not a major concern unless it's, let's say, less than 200 words per minute. Okay, any questions that you have now you can ask me. Those, except the novel suggestions, those I'll give you towards the end. All right, then. I hope you've been learning something in the session, because that's the goal. Okay. If you have, then you can please go and press the like button. Okay. Just show that you're learning. And yes, in case you want me to cover more topics, more such topics, then you can always comment in the comment section. Okay. All right. Now let's come to solving. We've talked a lot about reading. Yes. Let's talk about solving, because ultimately in the exam, you'll have to attempt RC passages. You'll also have to attempt questions based on them, not just read the RC passage and leave it, right? So, some tips that I want you to remember. These are also learnings that, let's say, we tell that, okay, over the years from various exams, these are the learnings that we have derived, okay, and now we are giving them to you for solving RC passages. Passage prioritization is very important. I have stated this in a number of sessions, in a number of short videos. Okay, because sometimes it can be a make or break decision. I have given you the example of CAT 2021 itself multiple times. There were, as I told you in slot 1, there were two philosophical passages, and one was on trade, one was on science and tech. Now, of course, more of you would have read articles related to trade, economics, and science and tech as compared to philosophy. So, a student who went ahead right with the first passage. So, for some of them, the first passage was a philosophy RC passage. Who went right ahead with it without even looking at the other RC passages, they ended up spending a lot of time in their very first RC passage. And that, of course, wasted their time. Okay, that impacted even the easier passages later on. So please prioritize your passages based on whether you are familiar with the genre or not. Okay, whether you like the genre or not, or and read a couple of sentences in the beginning or a couple of sentences from the middle. So whether you're comfortable with the language, the difficulty level of the language or not. Okay, don't bother a lot about length. It's not going to be extraordinarily lengthy. Don't go about reading the question stems, particularly talking about CAT here, because sometimes the question stem says what can be inferred. So you think, oh, this is an inference question, but the options are so easy that it's more or less a direct question only. Okay, so focus on these two things when you are prioritizing your RC passages. I hope this is clear. Now, coming to the second thing that you have to remember, question selection is important. Okay, so even in, let's say, if you are taking MAHCET, if you're taking IIFT, if you're taking XAT, CAT, no matter which exam you are taking, there are going to be some questions that are easier and some questions that are more difficult, of course. If I pick up an example of your CAT paper itself from last year, in the two difficult philosophy passages that I'm talking about, two of the questions were easy, but two of them were difficult. So in case you remain stuck in these two questions, you think, oh, I have to mark these also, it will waste your time and it might just give you a negative mark at the end. So selecting the right questions for yourselves, okay, is important. Focus on these first. I'm not saying don't attempt these at all. Focus on these first. If later on, towards the end, you have time, then you can focus on these also. Right? So question selection is very important. At the preparation stage, how you can work for various types of questions is understand how to solve each question type, how to approach each question type. Just like you prepare for various topics in quant, right? In RC passages, these are your topics. Is it an inference question? Is it a main idea question? Does it have something to do with tone? Okay. Is it a further application question, going a little further? Is it a reasoning question that tests my reasoning? Okay, strengthen, weaken. What kind of a question is it? See that and work on how to approach these question types. Okay. In the exam, please select the easier ones first. Now, you must be thinking, हमें कैसे पता चलेगा क्या easy है, right? So, first of all, of course, you will look at each and every question. Now, Some of these you will easily get answers to, right? That means those were easy for you. If in some question you are stuck between, let's say, two close options, don't remain stuck for, let's say, more than, I think, 40-50 seconds more than. If, let's say, even after 40-50 seconds you're still stuck, that means this is a difficult question for you. Learn to let go. Okay, learn to let go at that very moment, because you spent some time in first narrowing down to two options. Now you've spent an additional 40-50 seconds. So right now put it on mark for review, maybe, if you want to mark something at all, and later on you can revisit it. That's how you decide whether it's easy or difficult, right? Okay. So, question selection, very, very important. Please pay attention to that. After prioritizing your RC passages, after reading the RC passage, this is the next stage where some students save time while others don't, others waste time, right? Getting stuck is counterproductive no matter which exam it is. Okay, so this is a dog which is stuck. See, every exam has a time constraint, right? And all of the questions, fortunately, except in NMAT, all of the questions carry equal marks, right? So if, let's say, I am taking a CAT, I am taking an MHCT, all of them carry equal marks. So why not focus on those questions that give me these marks easily? Yes. If I just remain stuck on the difficult questions, there are two problems there. I waste time and I might later attempt the easy ones also incorrectly. So my easy questions suffer as a result. Right. Second thing is, when you overthink about a question, no, what happens is that, let's say, your instinct told you that B should be the answer, but then you overanalyzed it, you overthought it, and after a lot of thinking and wasting time, you marked C as the answer. Later on, you found out it was B only that was the answer. Because of the overthinking, you actually marked the wrong answer. When we overanalyze things, sometimes it leads us to the wrong path. So, creating that distance from the question, जब नहीं समझ में आ रहा, when you are stuck between two close options, create that distance between yourself and the question for a while, attempt other questions for a while, and then return to it. You will have a fresher perspective when you return to it later on. Has happened with me, has happened with my students. Okay, that's why I am telling you this, right? And eliminate. Okay, learn how to eliminate. So this learning part, this comes under preparation. Every single day when you attempt an RC passage, your focus should be to become better at elimination, right? And that will help you tremendously in your solving of RC passages. Okay, so I hope all of you are with me. Yes, listening to me and also grasping what I'm saying. Comprehension is there. Sorry. This, all of you know, I don't need to tell you this. A broader time management is crucial for you. Why have I written the word broader? Sometimes students are so bothered about the timer that this is all that they focus on, rather than focusing on their passages or their other questions. Just have a broader sense of time management. Okay. So for instance, if you've decided that 7 to 8 minutes is what I should take for one RC passage, then let's say you glanced at the timer twice in this duration. Once after the 4-minute mark, once after, let's say, the 8-9 minute mark. Now let's say you realize that I have exceeded my decided time for this one. So in some other passage, try to compensate for that. And usually students do compensate because not every passage is of equal difficulty level, no? So broadly, if you've decided that you will finish the RC passage in 30 minutes, just stick to this broader time goal. Don't just keep on looking at the timer every minute. That just creates anxiety, panic among students. And don't be so chilled out that you're not looking at the timer at all. The first time you looked at it was after 15 minutes and you realized I've just done one RC pass. So there has to be a balance, right? That's why a broader time management is crucial, right? And how do you learn this? Mocks are an indispensable source to learn this. Initially, when any student gives their first mock, no, they tell me that I was panicking during the exam. There was this time pressure. Later on, I was able to solve questions. That's because in the first mock, they still don't know this. Gradually, after taking multiple mocks, you create that balance for yourself. Like, itna check karna hai time, itna stick karna hai to time, itna fir itna bhi nahi dekhna. You get this? So Learn that will help you tremendously in solving your RC passages and in maintaining a good temperament. Okay, if you panic unnecessarily, then of course you are likely to make mistakes. And lastly, one thing is that things might not work out as per our plan during the test day. We might face some surprises, but the students who succeed are those who have that inner peace, inner calm, who just maintain that. They realize, okay, this is a difficulty. Now let me make the best out of this situation. Let me solve whatever I can, leave whatever I can't. Okay, but yes, and focus on the easier part so that I maximize my score. So maintain a calm temperament. That becomes very important on the exam day. Focus on just maximizing your score, right? So these are a few tips for solving RC passages. Odd man out. This is the strategy. Okay, RCs, then odd man out, and then parajumbles. Acha, just 3 RCs, Suraj. Okay, so Suraj says that he solves 3 RC passages, and then for cat, this is for cat, and then odd sentence out, and then sequence parajumbles. So Suraj, you're not attempting para summary and 1 RC. Am I right? So see, this is an approach that works if, let's say, you are good at the other 2 sections. Okay, you know that you will get your maximum score out of these, and you are probably just trying to clear the cutoffs through this one. Then such an approach is fine. Okay, there is no one size fits all approach. However, if again you pick up your previous year passages, as I've been talking about them time and again, uh, out of 4 passages, 2 easy, where all the 4 questions were doable, 2 difficult, where 2 questions each were doable, right? So that means 12 questions from here, right? Then in para jumble, some were easy, some were difficult. So overall, you could say out of these 8 questions, 4 were the easy ones, right? So 4 questions here. So that makes it what, 16 questions? 16 threes are 48, right? And in case you're targeting a 99 percentile, any idea what was the score? What was the score for 99 percentile last year? Yes, tell me. Cat, I'm talking about cat particularly. So at a 45, you got a 99 percentile. Of course, now if you're attempting 16 questions, you will not get all 16 of them correct, right? If you're attempting 16 questions out here, you'll not get all 16 of them correct. There will be inaccuracies also. So my point is that even with that approach where you attempt the entire paper, then also depending on your accuracy levels, you may or may not be able to score a 99 percentile. By entire paper, I mean all the easy questions of the paper. That's what I meant. So leaving 1 RC altogether, that means 2 easy questions and let's say 1 easy para summary question. That is clearly making you lose 9 marks perhaps. Okay, uh, which is a good score. I mean, a good score to boost your percentile, particularly in the higher percentile range. So see if this works for you. If you're able to compensate from QA and LRDI, if yes, then perfectly fine. In my opinion, I think you can add at least para summary question. Okay, at least add those to the equation. All right. Chaya, what was your question? You can always repost. Okay, always repost. I was talking about VARC. 99 percentile in VARC was at a score of 45. Okay. All right. How to increase accuracy? See, the only solution to increasing your accuracy is how do I work on my accuracy? A very common question. So, how do you get more answers correct when, let's say, it's a product of your understanding the passage, how familiar you were, what was the difficulty level of the questions, did you know how to tackle the question? So, basically, all those things that we've discussed. So, you get better at, you increase your accuracy when you both read and practice. Okay, when you practice RC passages, when you read outside the RC passages, that is the way to increase your accuracy. Okay, it's a product of all of what we have discussed. Okay, all of this will lead to an increase. All right. Okay, so preparation plus strategy, this results in an increase in accuracy, and this increase in an accuracy will of course translate to a higher percentile. You could look at it as a reaction of sorts, right? Yes, so Chaya, what was your question? You can repost it. I'll give you some suggestions for novels in the meanwhile. Okay, so novels, because you've asked for some suggestions. Just a second. So those who are beginners could begin with things that they like. So for instance, usually people like thrillers, people like romantic novels. So in thrillers, I could suggest if let's say you are up for reading something that's relatively lengthy but has easy language, then Sidney Sheldon is someone that you can consider. Somebody who's looking to build their vocabulary also while reading a thriller, Agatha Christie is a great way to do that. Someone who loves a lot of courtroom drama and suspense, John Grisham is an author. So I'm giving you the names of authors here. Someone who likes medical thrillers, Robin Cook is the way to go. So see, there's a lot available in the market to meet your precise likes and dislikes, right? So make use of that. And of course, someone who likes mythology and thrillers, Dan Brown is there, right? So this for thrillers, okay. For let's say romance, you can pick up something like Eric Siegel's Love Story, very short book, okay. It'll make you cry rivers, okay. Then you can, sorry, John Green can be your author if you want to read something. If you want to read light romance, then the author of P.S. I Love You, I forget her name. You can, so basically first start with anything that you like, okay. Although this is not the kind of stuff that will come in the exam, it will build a reading habit, okay. Then if let's say you are into reading a little, now you want to expand your genres, okay, but let's say you haven't read anything related to philosophy, so yes, Paulo Coelho is an author whom you can consider because his work has both philosophy and fiction. So it's not boring also that much. Some students do find him boring, but I feel that philosophy plus fiction is any day less boring than let's say reading pure philosophy for someone who dislikes it, okay. Then those who are relatively advanced readers want to read some high level philosophy, but again don't want it to be purely fiction. Ayn Rand is your author. Then students who let's say want are history, they're fond of history, okay, but again don't like to read just history, right? They want to weave it with fiction. Then books, fiction books that talk about the Holocaust could be your choice. Fiction books that talk about India's independence struggle, the post-independent India, they could be your choice, right? These are both of these are fiction, right? Book Thief, again about Holocaust and fiction at the same time, right? So pick what you like, and there is something there in the book world to suit your precise tastes. Okay, you'll find something. Okay, and some books that would be my personal recommendations, I'll give you those also. Sapiens, I have told you. Okay, Homo Deus. I think these will be very relevant for your even for your GDPIs. Okay, they will provide you a lot of material for that as well. Uh, the Power of Habit, because we've talked about habit today. Yes. Predictably Irrational. These are now non-fiction books. Predictably Irrational. In fiction, my picks, in case you are interested in knowing about racism but again don't want to read non-fiction, then I think Beloved by Toni Morrison is a great book, and this has relatively a little complicated language, so if you want something more contemporary and simpler, then Americana is the way to go, right? So these are just some of my suggestions. Okay, I hope this helps. I don't know how much, but I hope this helps. Okay, okay. And yes, in case you want to read about politics and fiction, then George Orwell is your author. George Orwell. Go for, of course, Animal Farm and 1984 both. You will enjoy both of them. 1984 is a little dystopian. So, this, I mean, in case it triggers you, then I don't think you should go for it. Okay, it's a dystopian world. All right, all right. MVRC mock. Actually, Om, what if you're talking about CAT Om, then we are starting this series where we'll discuss previous year papers with you. So from the coming Saturday, I will meet you, I think at 3 p.m. That's the time that has been decided. Okay, and we'll discuss the VRC section of previous year CAT papers. That is something that we are going to do. All right. Uh, Parker, I think this question was asked earlier also. Possible, see, there's nothing that's impossible, right? 40 plus is a very achievable score in case VRC happens to be your strength. And yes, students do take it to 45 also. Some students do take it to 45 also. Those who get into JB, they do take it to 45 as well. Right? So Chaya, it's again a product of practice and experience. Yes, so I remember these things because it's been a significant chunk of time since I've been teaching, right? So practice, habit, these are the keywords. All right. A figure on the wall. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Welcome, welcome. Thank you, Sanil. I'm sure. Okay, and please do follow this. Whatever I've told you, do implement this because without implementation, it's not even half the battle won. Okay. All right. So this is our CAT and other courses comprehensive program with a lot under it, right? For more details, you can call up our counselors. And this is how we can stay connected. For general knowledge, in case you're targeting exams that ask general knowledge, on our Instagram handle and even on our Facebook page, we've started posting about current affairs and static GK, so you can follow these. Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye. Welcome, welcome, Sonali. Welcome. Thank you for attending. Bye.